I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, hearts full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars. He's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the tank.
I am the tank. Big tank.
Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Tank. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Big Tank Talk. Today, we are going to be interviewing one of my best friends on Clapper and outside of Clapper. We're going to be talking to One Dirty Carpenter. So, Dirty, welcome to Big Tank Talk.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Now, the first question never changes. So, tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be on Clapper.
Well, I'm 55. I'm a carpenter, married to Dirty to Midget. And I came to Clapper back in 2020-ish, I think March of 2020. And my wife does. And just, I was looking for a place where I could speak my mind without being censored. And I found that here. I came here back when it was still more videos only, and then we had radios and stuff like that. Interesting because I always have to watch my feet.
All right, let's try to keep these. I will go ahead and ask the questions, even though I know you can say them dirty. So my first question: explain for us the name One Dirty Carpenter.
So One Dirty Carpenter came about. My first name on here was One Lonely Man, and I didn't like that name. It's just something I came up with on the spur of the moment. A friend of mine helped me out, and she says, "Well, what do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm a carpenter." She says, "What's something that happens every day, in your life?" So, well, I come home and I have to shower. She goes, "So you're a dirty carpenter?"
That makes sense.
That hit it. One Dirty Carpenter.
Anybody ever give you a shit because of the double entendre of the name?
Oh, I get kicked out of a lot of lives. I get booted from a lot of lives just on my name alone.
You and I are pretty good friends, so I do know you're a Navy veteran. Let's dig into that a little bit. What places has the Navy taken you to see?
I have been to Hawaii, Guam, Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, India, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Egypt, Cairo, a couple of different places in Egypt, Hurghada, Cairo.
Right on. Now, you're a sailor. I know you have sea stories that you like to tell. What's your favorite story?
Probably being in a typhoon in the Indian Ocean.
Oh, that had to be fun.
Having to drive for 17 hours straight.
So why did you have? Was your other people sick?
My other master helmsman, because we had to have a master helmsman on the helm at that time, had actually broke his leg and couldn't stand.
I can see where that might be a problem.
Part of the best part of that story is the captain at one point wanted us to go bow in. He wanted water coming off the bow and up the two house pipes. And it took me about 4 attempts to do it, but I got the perfect picture, and that became our cruise book picture.
I'll bet that was an awesome picture. I'd love to see it sometime. So what was your least favorite part about being in the Navy?
Probably it becoming the kindler, gentler Navy.
Yeah, I can understand that. I have said before, I don't think I could serve in today's Navy. I don't think, and I
Yeah,
don't think they'd have me. All right, Val says, what's worse, you not having coffee or not having food?
coffee.
Yeah, I am the rare odd sailor that doesn't drink coffee, but I understand it. That's good, Paul. I like that. Um, what was your favorite part about being in the Navy?
Being able to drive a multi-million-dollar boat like it was a freaking Porsche.
I can imagine that would be fun. Let's see, my days in the Navy, I was the engine for the driver.
Right.
So that was fun for me too. But all right. Val says, if you didn't go Navy, what branch would you have gone into?
I would have gone Army.
Right on. I never even considered when I decided to join. It was Navy. I never considered any of the other branches. I
Well,
reckon
I knew it. I knew my head wouldn't fit in a jar, and I couldn't sit in a chair for that long. So Army was the only other choice.
Well, that plus you also like to think for yourself. I've learned that about you, and that definitely disqualify you for the Marine Corps. So I know Val is not your first wife. How many times have you been married?
This is my fourth marriage.
Do you feel like you finally got it right?
I hope so. She's gonna have to kill me to get rid of me.
I hear you. I have to ask, which one was your worst ex-wife? You don't have to say a name, just one, two, three, one or two or three.
These two and three are bad, but probably the second one.
Okay, so do you have children?
I have I had two children. I still have one. Lost a daughter back in 2001.
I'm sorry to hear that, brother. So the child you still have is, I take she's a little older.
Actually, she's the younger.
Okay. I meant older because I know you're helping to raise Val's
yeah.
boys.
Yes, she is 29 now.
Does she have children? Do you have grandchildren?
I have three grandchildren.
Isn't it great being a grandpa?
Yes.
I do love it myself. Hey, I got to ask you, since Nisi came in, Nisi says you're half AI. How is it being half AI?
The only thing I can say to that is I try and be the best me I can be.
That's all anyone could ask anyway. So,
I got lucky with good genes.
So since we know you're just a hair taller than Val, what's it like being married to a midget? She said it. Other than watching your step, Tabby's a bit taller, so I'm not really sure what it's like to be married with a midget. And
it's a lot of strain on the neck and a lot of strain on the back, but
so Paul says, what's the best experience you had during your time in the Navy?
Probably meeting people from other countries that were normal people, just wanted to, they were like Americans, just didn't speak English. I mean, that was really neat to see the way other people live.
I agree. And some of the best people I met during my time in the Navy were Russian sailors, because I got to meet some Russian sailors. And they're just like, they're everyday guys. They were like us, wanted to see the world, and, they got an opportunity. They love meeting Americans. So it was pretty cool. Lena says, how do you get so many women to flash you two boobs?
I didn't know that I got that many women to flash me boobs, but usually it's by being respectful and not just demanding. It's by being nice.
Well, that makes sense. Um, Also, I understand you have some Scottish heritage.
I do.
So, do you wear a kilt?
I do wear a kilt. I do wear a kilt.
And during what occasions do you wear your kilt?
When I used to participate in the Scottish Highland Games doing the athletics, throwing the telephone pole, as people like to call it. It's a caber. The big rocks, all that kind of stuff. Used to do all that.
That was one of my questions, so I appreciate that. Jay Marie wants to know what country had the most interesting or intriguing people that you've met.
Um, it's a good question because they all have different. I would say Egypt because I actually got to spend the most time in Egypt. And met people from all over the Middle East that were living in Egypt. Uh, but there was a Turkish shop owner there that was very very cool
That's
and just very polite, very nice. Wanted to make sure that we saw everything that we wanted to see there in Egypt, and and understand that life is normal there. It's not what everybody thinks.
not what you see a lot of on the news. I'll say that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I've been to Egypt as well, and I couldn't agree more with you. Lena wants to know what keeps you on Clapper other than the family community.
Um, it's interaction with some really cool people. Actually, just being able to meet new people like Tank, Paul, you, Lena, my twin. That's how I met my wife. That's just it's getting to meet new and interesting people that I don't get to meet in real life as much.
All right, Tabby wants to know what country did you prefer the.
Uh, Singapore. Singapore had some of the best food I had.
Oh, that's cool. I've never been there, but it was.
And yes, all my friends that I go to Vegas and hang out with are also the reason why I'm here.
So big USMC wants to know if you ever accidentally ate a crayon, wanting to know what it feels like to be a Marine.
I bit into a crayon once, and worst experience of my life.
So Jay Marie asked again, is Egypt your favorite country you've been to?
Um, it was one of the ones I had my best experience at. Singapore was probably the cleanest I'd been to, and Thailand had some of the best water views I've ever seen. So
Yeah, you've been to some interesting places.
yeah, it's hard to just pick one as my favorite.
The Gangster Granny says, how long were you a model for the lighthouses?
Just once for you.
So I do have several questions, Carpenter related or job related, so to speak. If you don't mind, I'd like to start into some of those. But of course, everybody feel free to ask, bring up more stuff from the Navy or being married to a midget. Any of that stuff is also fair game. So I think you'll get a kick out of my first Carpenter related question. Can you tell us the difference between hardwood and softwood?
It's what I wake up. Hardwood's what I wake up with. Softwood's what I go to sleep with. Um, um, it's just the species of wood. Some of it is a more dense, so you can walk on it, do stuff like that. Other stuff is the softer woods are usually more are usually more for aesthetics
Right.
or aromatics. That's
Right.
usually the way that works.
So Vito says, is being married to a midget like being in Special Olympic Games?
Maybe being yes, decorative. There we go. That was the word I was looking for. It is definitely like being, but more like a circus, not a Special Olympics.
Lena says, what is something you would change if you could and why? Now, Lena, is that in reference to anything in particular? Clapper, his military time, his life in general? Can you be a little specific? And she said, for anything. What is something you'd change if you could and why?
If I could change anything, I would change the political climate right now and make it less separated.
I absolutely agree with that. I would take it a step further. I would also make it make a requirement that there should be a requirement that they try to, what is the word I'm
Be
looking for?
bipartisan. Be bipartisan.
Yeah. Um, compromise.
This
They should get back to learning how to compromise.
absolutely,
That's what I'm
without having to
thinking.
have an absolute one way or the other, and if it's not, then we're going to destroy everything.
Yeah. Now I know you're a carpenter. Is your work experience just in carpentry, or are you more well-rounded in the things you do?
I've actually was lucky and got onto a customs crew, and so on a customs crew, you do everything from the dirt work to turnkey.
Right on. So is that variety of experiences is working in so many different areas other than just carpentry made you a better rounded craftsman?
It has so my finished carpentry helps me with my framing, that kind of stuff, because then I've learned to do it right in the beginning, and it makes everybody else's job easier. If
All
you
right, we
take
have to
that extra couple minutes.
got to jump in with Val's question here. She says, is it true in Vegas, Vito tried showing you his starfish for a Klondike bar?
Yes. It was when he wanted me to tickle it that I had to refrain.
Good question. Lena says, what's the hardest thing in carpentry for you to learn?
The hardest thing in carpentry for me to learn was actually roof framing.
Can you
There's a
explain what
lot
that is?
doing trusses and all the hips and valleys in that, the amount of math in that is ridiculous.
Vanilla wants to know, are you strictly a framing carpenter or are you a furniture carpenter as well?
I have built furniture. It would be something I'd like to do more of, but my finished carpentry has helped me with that.
Now, this is probably going to sound like a silly question, but I've been known to ask silly questions anyway. You ever use safety shortcuts?
All the but a lot of my job has required me to learn how to do things where I have to pin guards back or do something that isn't safe, and I've learned how to do that in as safe as possible manner.
Tabby wants to know, was there a specific point in your life where you made a conscious decision to be more positive?
No. I've just always been one of those people that saw the silver lining in everything.
Okay. When you're cutting wood, how do you ensure accurate measurements before, during, and after the cut?
Practice. Lots of practice.
I've heard, what was the saying? Measure twice, cut once, something like that.
Measure once, cut twice. Or, hey, I've cut it twice and it's still too short.
Okay. You worked with a lot of different varieties of wood. Is that right?
Yes.
What is your favorite to work with?
Depends on what I'm doing.
Okay, that's fair.
For flooring, I like oak. For framing, I prefer Douglas fir.
Right on. So, do you have the skills? So, could you build a house from the foundation up?
Absolutely.
How do you ensure that when you're building the frame of the house? How do you ensure it stays level?
Lots of bracing. There's lots of cross braces that you do, lots of other things that you do, and once you get certain parts tied together, then you can release those braces, put new braces on. But you're always measuring for square.
Okay, I got to ask you this. Vito asked, in Vegas, when you were spooning with coffee, did you have a heart on?
Just a semi would.
And Nisi says, can you build her a house?
If she can afford it.
There was Paul says, if you weren't a carpenter, what job would you have?
That's a hard one, Paul, because carpentry is what I've been doing all my life, and I love it, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. It would have to be something similar to that.
Great question, Lena. She wants to know if you've ever considered building a tiny home to live in.
I actually did build my own tiny home for a while and sold it.
That's an awesome skill to have. I want you to know. Because of the job you do, are you required to be well versed in the building codes?
Absolutely. I have to every year to 2 years. The building gods send down a change order for what all kinds of stuff they do. I've not. Yeah, they send it down, and we have to go through and look, and a lot of it's fairly minor changes. Some of them are fairly big.
Right.
But yeah, you have to actually. It can be as thick as this sometimes. Sometimes it can be even thicker. Sometimes it can be just a couple of pages.
Right on. Jay Marie wants to know if you've ever bought and flipped houses.
I've never bought them. I've helped many people flip them. And most of the time, the flippers that I worked for, I didn't work for long because they wanted to take safety shortcuts that would endanger the new homeowners.
Tabby asked, and I like the question because when we're in the Navy, everybody's a firefighter. Were you ever a firefighter inside the Navy?
No.
I will tell you, I got recruited by Virginia Beach Fire Department when I got out of the Navy, but I didn't go that direction. Nisi wants to know if you've ever encountered ghosts or paranormal activity in any of the houses you've worked on.
I have to say, I've had some strange experiences and things that are unexplainable happen in some places.
Are you a believer in paranormal activity, generally speaking?
I believe that we're not alone, whether it's ghosts or alien tech with cloaking abilities or whatever. I don't believe that we're alone.
Jay Marie, can you specify what you mean by that? She says, what was the most rewarding for you in the military? I don't know if she meant personally or professionally, or that's why I asked her to specify. She said it's an open question. So what was most rewarding for you about being in the Navy, I guess, being in the military?
Probably the friendships I made. And the fact that when I was in the military, it didn't matter. You didn't see color. You just saw somebody who could do their job.
Absolutely. And that was the bottom line, because that guy next to you had to be able to cover your ass, or when necessary,
Absolutely.
just like you had to cover his. And it didn't, and we didn't give a shit about what color they were, just whether they could do the job or not.
Yep.
Yeah. Lena asked, if money was no object, where would you live and why? It could be inside or outside the U.S.
I would live. I would, if money was no object, I'd have two houses. I'd have one in the mountains and one on a beach.
I like that.
And because I love the mountains and I love the beach. And the mountains one would have to have a lake. I got to be near water. I have to be near water. I can't do the landlocked thing.
I absolutely agree with that. Can you back to your carpentry stuff for a minute? What is reclaimed wood, and have you ever worked with it?
So reclaimed wood is usually something that is like old growth lumber, where they are able to save it because it was actual size lumber. So it used to be a 2x4 was actually 2 inches by 4 inches. Now a 2x4 is 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So what they do is they take that old lumber, make sure there's no nails in it, anything like that, make sure it's fairly decent. They shave it down, and there you go. You got reclaimed lumber. They also do the same for floors.
I assume you've worked with it quite a bit then.
Absolutely.
So Jay Marie wants to know, if you won the lottery, what would you do first? Well,
if I won the lottery, what would I do first? I would probably donate to a Fisher house first. That would be my first thing I would want to do. I would want to find a place that needed a Fisher house and donate to be able to build one.
Right on. How much of your time, of your work time, do you spend maintaining the tools you use?
Probably 4 to 5 hours a week.
So I can understand it's important to make sure your tools are always in good shape, good working order. So I get that. That's why I ask it, because although I've never done carpentry work, I was a mechanic for years, and it's the same thing. You got to maintain your tools if you want them to perform the way they're supposed to.
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes at least 4 to 5 hours a week to maintain tools.
Jay Marie wants to know, what's your favorite brand of tools?
Milwaukee at this point.
Macy says, when did you first realize you wanted to marry a midget?
I didn't realize she was a midget until after we were married.
Now, I know this happens, but I'll ask the question, how often are you called on to fix someone else's mistake?
Probably 4 or 5 times a year. For major stuff. For major blunders.
Does being called on to fix another person, does being called on to fix another person's mistake aggravate you, or do you just write it off as part of the job?
It's part of the job, because some people, you got a lot of guys that are just learning, and so you got to be able to go in and coach guys up and say, hey, if you'd have done this, it would have worked out better.
I understand that. Jay Marie she says, Milwaukee is popular. Do you find DeWalt to be overrated?
Yes, absolutely. They have some fantastic things, but I think you're paying for the name more than you're paying for the tool.
And being someone who used to build DeWalt tools, I agree with you. Good product, but you're paying so much for the name. That's why I rarely own DeWalt tools. Have you ever been in the middle of a job and then have a customer change the specs and what they wanted done, or what they wanted done in general?
More times than I care to remember. Mm.
How do you not get aggravated with that?
Because it's their money, and it's their their home. They need to be happy in their home, and it can be frustrating, but you also have to remember that it's their home.
Absolutely. Tabby wants to know what's your biggest fear.
Being a burden.
I love that answer. A couple more questions, Carpenter related. Uh, how experienced are you at reading blueprints and architectural drawings?
I am. Yeah. I learned how to read blueprints when I was probably 16.
So quite experienced then.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
figured so, but I wanted to ask anyway. Nisi says, do you twerk when you think no one is watching?
Um. Unfortunately, no. Because I can't twerk. I don't have enough ass to twerk. All right.
You want to comment on Jay Marie's comment that when people pick the color, whatever she said, it just went away.
Again, it's their house.
And it's their money.
I can. It's their house. It's their money. There's not a whole lot I can do about that.
I understand that.
You know, it,
Do you get a lot of opportunity to do custom work?
mm, not as much as I'd like to, but yes, I do. And it's nice. I mean, it's always fun to be able to do
Tabby
custom
says,
stuff.
how many wishes do people get if they rub your head?
One.
Val says, if you don't make eye contact, is it still gay?
Yes.
Something else I'd like to talk to you about. I've noticed you have several tattoos. Can you explain the meaning of some of those tattoos?
So I have my military tattoos on my forearms. They're, the Navy, and then what I did while I was in the Navy. I have freedom and honor on the back of my arms, and so freedom is our right. If we take that away, if they take that away from us, all we have left is our honor.
Right.
I have a cross on my back, and that's basically because I bear my own cross. I don't ask anybody else to carry it. I bear my own cross. Have a wizard because I create my own magic.
Right on. I like that though. That your tattoos
And
have
then,
those kind of meanings.
and then I have a saying here on my chest that is kind of my life's thing. With all that I am, with all that I know, how I live my
Right on.
life.
That's awesome. Paul wants to know which head you prefer rubbed.
It depends on who's rubbing.
I kind of anticipated that being the answer for that.
I mean, Paul can rub either one.
This is becoming a very popular question for these interviews. I'll get to yours in a minute, Vito. If you could go back and have a conversation with your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Always be true to who you are.
That's good advice.
100%. 100%. Always be true to who you are. Don't
Vito
let
wants
other
to know
people sway you.
if you ever sang In the Navy by the Village People.
No.
Did you know the Navy considered using that as their theme song?
Yes.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I was against it at the time, but
Yeah.
I do like the song. It's a nice song, but certainly not with something the Navy needs to associate themselves with. So how long have you and Val been together?
A little over a year and a half now.
And you met her right here on Clapper?
I did, and then
So if
met
you
her
don't want to
in
ask it, how
person.
did you guys meet?
Actually, I knew her mom and Kiss This 2.0. Um, we used to hang out in some of the same circles, and she would see me on live, and I would see she came in a couple of times, and I'd say hi, and my normal, not paying attention to any one particular person at any given time.
Right.
Very aloof. Jay Marie's asked a couple of times what I think of Malco tools. They're not
Matco.
bad for the money. For the money, they're not bad.
Sorry, I completely missed that one.
Not a problem.
Nisi wants to know, why do you like to tickle Cuban feet?
Because they're cute and puffy.
Wouldn't hardly know she was Cuban, would you? So, what you just like all of us, there's got to be aspects of Clapper that aggravate you. What's the most frustrating thing about Clapper to you?
Most frustrating thing, probably the fact that they won't fix their glitches. There have been glitches that have been here um, since the beginning that they haven't fixed that they could,
Right.
and they're more form over function. Let's
Yeah.
add
They're
more shit
more,
and add more shit and add more shit and add more shit.
which would be fine if they'd fix the glitches. It would make it easier to take the new stuff. But I agree with you on that. Tabby wants to know, what is your dream firearm to own?
um, Actually, that's a tough one because they're all fun.
What is your favorite firearm that you own or have owned?
Currently on my 44 Magnum. I have a
That's awesome.
Ruger Super Red Hawk 44 Magnum, and that was probably my dream gun. And now that I have that one, I'd like to have probably like to have a 454 Casull.
That's cool. Um, Sorry, I was blocking that hoe that just came through. I'm sure she got the full group greeting.
I'm sure she did. Everybody's pretty quick.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I love about the mods in these interviews is they don't mess around. So I have to ask this: um, is using Hello Kitty for a target becoming a regular thing?
That's part of it. I shoot just about everything. It's fun to shoot. If it's there, I do it more just to get a reaction out of. Oh,
Nisi.
look at this little cutie. Out of
Oh,
Nisi,
there you
look
go.
at this little cutie. Oh, the bullshit. Here's your baby.
Do you like to go hunting?
I do. It's becoming more and more of a rich man sport, though.
Yeah. No, said, is that a full
That is
size
a full
dog for
size
midget?
dog. It is a full size dog for midgets. No, it wasn't Beetle. It was Vanilla.
Hey, Vamp, welcome in. You're interviewing One Dirty Carpenter. Would you like to ask him a question? Jay Marie wants to know, what's your favorite breed of dog?
You know, I have to say pit bulls.
Why?
They're a very misunderstood dog. They're sweethearts. They're absolutely wonderful if they're raised good.
No, Vamp, you can
No,
ask anything you like.
they are they're just an awesome dog and loyal to a fault.
Yeah, I believe where they become a problem is people get them, but they don't train them. And so, they resort to their instincts, which, good training will take them to behave the way you want them to. So any dog, that's why the dog that bites the most is a Cocker Spaniel. But to me, it's all about training. And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not great at training dogs, but Tabby is. And we have three
Yeah.
dogs that are well trained because she does a great job of training them.
Yeah, they were definitely nanny dogs. My dog absolutely loved kids. Um, she was all about the kids.
So I've noticed for as long as you've been here, you don't follow many people and you don't have many followers. So what is your advice to new creators coming in?
Be you, be genuine, and when you say you're going to do something, do it. You know, and
Absolutely.
don't overreach yourself with a bunch of stuff. You know, stay within your comfort zone ish. You know, don't go so far outside that you get overwhelmed and have to take a break.
So Bugs wants to know if you ever thought of shining your head at the bowling alley like Homer Simpson did.
I will put that on my bucket list.
Vanilla wants to know what you like to do to unwind.
Shoot. I like to shoot.
There's something relaxing about that. I love shooting. I wish I did it more, but until ammunition ain't free. So, Val says he likes to do midgets too. Vamp, I'm quite sure he'd say yes to that question.
Both. Bam.
Oh. All right, guys, give me a minute. I'm sweating my butt off here. I got to take the hat off, and it's just running off me here. Paul says while he looks me in the eyes. So, you enjoy your work. Are you considering retiring in the near future, or do you plan to work as long as you can?
If I can die with a hammer in my hand, I will.
I understand. Val says in Vegas you wore a shirt that said, "I love midget porn." Is that watching or doing?
Both.
Well, it's handy having a midget there if you want to participate.
Right.
Huh? Bug says, did you have to modify your vehicles when you married little Val?
No, she came with her own vehicle, thankfully. Although I did have to hide the RC cars that she wanted to ride.
Bam says, if you could give up one thing, what would it be? That's actually a good question, Bam.
If I could give up one thing, this.
Is that a vape?
The vapes. Yep.
Val says mother-in-law. Have you been vaping long?
For the past couple of years, probably 4 or 5 years. I smoked before that.
Yeah, never having been a smoker, I have no idea how hard it is to give up. I've seen people struggle with it though, so I imagine it's quite difficult. Nicotine's very addictive.
Yeah, considering I quit 3 different times for anywhere from 2 to 5 years, and picked it back up like it was like I had done it the day before.
We actually covered that one, Vamp, but I'll ask him again. She says, "What would you do if you won the lottery?"
First thing I would do, like I said, is I would find a base that needed a Fisher house, and I would donate for that. Then I would pay off bills and then invest.
So Lena says, if you could do something for your community you live in, what would you do and why?
So I do. I have done things, and I'd like to do it again. Would be back to doing Habitat for Humanity,
Well, that's cool.
helping homeowners in areas build their own homes, stuff like that.
Right on. Jay Marie says, if you can go back in time, what and where works you choose, and would you change anything?
Absolutely not, because I'm who I am because of the decisions I've made so far.
Vanilla says, besides midget muffs, what's your favorite thing to eat?
It's an English dish called pasties. It's kind of like
those
the
are
original
amazing.
Hot Pocket.
Those are amazing. I love those. And guys, if you've not tried pasties before, if you can find somewhere to make authentic pasties, try them. They're really good. Paul says Cornish pasties are best. The original are Cornish, aren't they? Jay Marie says, would you like to go back and revisit a time in your life over that was a happy moment to relive it? Like, would you like to go back and relive a happy moment in your life?
As long as it didn't have to change, yes. I would go back and probably relive several of my moments behind the helm of a boat.
Right. Well, Nisi, those are pasties, not pasties. They're different.
And then I would go back to when I met Val in person.
That is an awesome moment. Sure. And you guys seem really good together, so I can respect that. How did you guys come up with the idea of meeting in Vegas, and why Vegas?
So that was another creator that she used to go. She goes to the Cheer Choice Award, and so then she did it the first year or two, and then a bunch of us decided that we were going to do it as well. And now it's a thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you guys in Vegas next year. So it's going to be a fun thing, I think. Paul wants to know if you'd ever consider re-enlisting.
I did. Yet not now. If it was the old Navy, yes.
Right.
But
yeah, Paul, we touched on that earlier, Paul. The Navy now is not the Navy that Dirty and I were in. And I don't think either one of us would thrive in today's Navy like we did when we were actually in. And Val says, what about the moment you met her would you want to relive?
The whole day.
Jay Marie and Lena, I have to agree. I don't think the military in general is the same. and all the branches are, excuse me for saying it this way, they're pussified versions of what we knew.
Absolutely.
So Val says, when you first met or when you came back for her birthday?
Both. But the first day we met was pretty epic.
Hey, Paul, I understand about Carlos being a possibility, and Dirty is probably in good enough shape that he could get back in uniform and do what he did. I would never get called back, and his age, even though he's in great shape, his age would definitely be a big strike against him as well.
I could still outwork anybody.
No doubt in my mind, brother. Vamp wants to know, how did you meet Lil Val, which has been answered before, but she came late. And what was the first thing? All right, that part of the question lost me. First thing you probably meant you thought when you met her. What was the first thing you thought when you met her?
She's a sassy little bitch.
Nisi says, you're strong as fuck. That's why she calls you AI. Jay Marie wants to know if you remember what Little Val was wearing when you met her.
She was wearing jeans and her M&M's hoodie.
Now, women, for those of you to think men don't pay attention, there you go. I would like to take a moment right now, if you don't mind, Dirty, and let everyone know that my guest next week at 3 o'clock, just like every Sunday, will be Bugs 70. She is a part of the Shocker crew. She is Gangsta Granny's best friend and one of Paul's best friends as well. And I'm really looking forward to asking her questions and hearing what kind of stuff you guys throw at her next week. Yes. Lena says, well, dang, he was paying attention. But Tabby says, but he's half AI. He doesn't count. How does that not count? Are you saying the AI part is what remembered for him? Vamp, they met here on Clapper. He explained. Go ahead and explain again how you met so Vamp can get the answer.
So I knew her mom first, Kiss. And she used to come into her mom's live or other lives that we were all in and say hi and stuff. And me being me, my normal, I don't pay, I'm paying attention to what's going on. I acknowledged her, but didn't say anything, rude or, I engaged, but didn't overly engage.
So Nisi wants to know what's your favorite thing about her midget friend, Val.
That I can pick her up when she's naked.
I can see where that would be a plus. Yeah, there are so many other ways I can go with that, but I'm not going to. Oh, so I assume Val likes to be picked up then.
Yes. She likes to be manhandled. I absolutely do miss the radios on Clapper. Sorry.
So, I was just going to ask the question anyway. So yes, I appreciate the answer. What else is your favorite about her as a person? About Val?
She's independent yet needs me.
I get that. I actually get that. I actually love that those little machines at the end of her wrist that go through and create blankets like nothing.
Yeah, I swear her hands are AI.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me none. As fast as she gets blankets done. I had a cousin who agreed to crochet me a blanket, and she told me for 25 years she was doing it, and I finally got one. But yeah, she's really quick at that. Paul says, if you could change anything from your life, what would it be?
Um, probably would have. I probably would have forgave my parents earlier than I did for things that happened when I was young.
Now, forgiving them, did that bring some like peace to you personally?
Absolutely, absolutely. Understanding that they did the best they could for me with what they had,
Right.
and gave me a lot of peace, and made my relationships with both of them better for the last few years of their lives.
And that is an outstanding answer, by the way. Um, I've learned through some of the experience of my life forgiveness. Um, Even for someone who doesn't, most people would say don't deserve forgiveness. Um, it'll help bring a level of peace to your life that is worth doing, even if the person that gets forgiven doesn't. People don't feel like they deserve it. You should still consider it. Elena says, if you could sit down with the homeless veterans, what would you say to them and why? Great
It
question, Nate.
depends on it depends on their situation and why they're there. Um, each story is individual, and it's hard to have a blanket answer for that question.
Absolutely.
I would definitely try and help them figure out a solution, because that's what I do. Um, I'm a problem solver.
Okay. The question was, when will the video be on YouTube? Um, Paul will upload the video for me today. I will probably have it downloaded today. I'll run it through CapCut, put my piece on it, and it'll be posted at noon on Wednesday. Val says, can you build her a new nightstand?
The nightstand she wants, it'll take a while.
Understood.
She
Welcome in,
wants restraint.
Teresa. I don't know if you hit the button to come up on accident, but only people in the live once the interview starts are myself and the person being interviewed, in this case, One Dirty Carpenter. Jay Marie says, if Paul was hitchhiking on the road, would you pick up a hitchhiking Paul?
Only if you promise to give some up.
Well, that sounds fair. Now, barring any questions coming from the spectators before we actually get to this, 30, every week I offer my guest an opportunity to do a shout out. The shout out can be at completely your discretion, who and whatever you want it to be about. But at this point now, I'd like to offer you that opportunity to do a shout out.
I got to shout out my twin for sure. I have to shout out everybody who I follow on Clapper are amazing people. And if you go through my friends list, you'll see people that and from all walks of life, and they're great. And just I limit who I let in my life to people who don't actively seek drama, really. And people who help resolve the drama are a lot of the people I like. People who are straightforward with you and honest, and and I'm absolutely 100% thankful to have all you in my life.
I appreciate
Vito,
that.
because he gave me crabs.
I assume that's a who would you not pick up answer. All right, I'll give Val the last question, and this will be the last question, friends. She said you don't talk much about your past. Why?
Because I prefer to be judged on who I am now, not what happened to me in my past and the things that have made me who I am. I don't want sympathy. I don't need that. I want to be recognized for who I am now.
That absolutely makes sense to me, brother. And with that, guys, that brings to close another wonderful interview. Dirty, it's been great. I love the answers you gave. Very insightful. I appreciate you, and I want to take this moment, like I do every week, and shout out Fear the Reaper, my partner in crime in doing these interviews, Paul. I couldn't do it, and then have it reposted on YouTube without his assistance. Paul, I do appreciate you, brother. And with that, guys, have a wonderful Sunday, and I'm sure I'll see you again in a live in the near future. Dirty, thank you again.
Love y'all.